Ethan's ship landed with a soft hum on the alien world. The sky above was a swirl of pink and green, streaked with shimmering clouds that moved like living ribbons. He had traveled across countless light years, but nothing had prepared him for this place. The air was thick, fragrant, and warm, filled with a faint vibration that seemed to touch his bones. He stepped out onto the soft, glowing grass, his boots sinking slightly with each step. Everything looked alive, almost breathing, as if the planet itself was aware of his presence. He moved carefully, scanning the forest ahead. Trees towered over him, their trunks translucent and filled with shifting colors. Small, floating creatures hovered lazily between the branches, leaving trails of sparkling light behind them. Ethan had studied alien ecosystems before, but this was unlike anything in his training manuals. His heart raced, part excitement and part anxiety. He was an explorer, trained to expect the unexpected, yet he couldn't shake a sense of wonder. He pulled out his scanner and swept it across the surroundings. Readings were unusual. Energy levels fluctuated wildly, far beyond human understanding. It was clear this world held secrets, some playful, some potentially dangerous. Ethan stepped forward, deeper into the forest, careful not to disturb the delicate flora beneath his feet. Without warning, the ground beneath him shifted. A soft pulse of energy shot upward, enveloping his body in light. Ethan froze, but it was too late. He felt a strange sensation, like layers of his clothing evaporating into the air. Panic surged as he realized what had happened. His protective suit, the one thing keeping him safe and warm, was gone. Every piece of clothing, every layer vanished in a blink. From the tree line, a soft, musical laugh echoed. Ethan turned, his face flushing in embarrassment, though there was no one he could see yet. The sound was playful, teasing, and it made him uneasy. A figure stepped forward, her movements fluid and graceful. She had iridescent skin that shimmered under the alien light, and eyes that glowed softly. Her hair floated slightly, as if buoyed by some gentle current of air. Ethan's words caught in his throat. Who are you?" he stammered, trying futilely to cover himself with his hands. The alien girl tilted her head and giggled again, clearly entertained by his discomfort. She made a small gesture with her hand, and the air around Ethan rippled. He stumbled as gravity seemed to shift beneath him, tossing him gently but firmly onto the glowing grass. He rolled, trying to regain his balance, but the sensation left him dizzy. I didn't mean to," Ethan started, but she held up a finger, her expression both mischievous and curious. She seemed to study him, her head tilted slightly as if deciding whether he was dangerous or interesting. Ethan realized quickly that this was not a threat in the usual sense. She wasn't trying to harm him. She was testing him. I am Ethan," he said carefully, keeping his voice steady. "I'm an explorer from Earth." She nodded slowly, her eyes sparkling. Then, almost instantly, she reached out and waved her hand again. A soft shimmer ran over Ethan's body, and he felt a strange tickling sensation, as if the air itself was teasing him. He realized with horror that every attempt to cover himself was futile. His body was exposed, yet there was no malice, only amusement. I didn't come here for this," he muttered, trying to regain composure. But even as he spoke, he couldn't help but notice the beauty around him. The floating creatures moved like liquid light, the trees pulsed with color, and soft, luminescent flowers opened and closed rhythmically, like breathing organisms. The alien girl, whose name he later learned was Lyra, walked closer. She moved with a grace that was impossible for a human, her steps light and almost silent. She hovered slightly above the ground, her feet barely brushing the grass. Ethan couldn't decide whether to be terrified or amazed. Lyra clapped her hands softly, and suddenly, small floating platforms of glowing crystal appeared around them. "If you want your clothes back, human, you will have to play," she said, her voice melodic and teasing. Ethan swallowed hard. Play? What kind of play? She pointed to the platforms. Jump, solve, move, survive, but do not fall. Ethan looked down at the platforms, unsure of what she meant. Some floated inches off the ground, others several meters high, shifting slightly as if they had a mind of their own. He realized quickly that this was no ordinary game. Each platform responded to movement, energy, and balance. One misstep could send him tumbling into the soft, glowing grass below, but judging by the energy, it might sting if he landed wrong. Taking a deep breath, he leaped onto the nearest platform. It wobbled under his weight, causing him to almost lose his balance. Lyra laughed, the sound musical and light echoing through the alien forest. He could feel her amusement like a physical presence, and it embarrassed him further. "This is difficult," Ethan admitted, trying to steady himself, but Lyra shook her head, floating slightly higher, her expression playful. "Humans are clever. Show me," she said. "If you can learn, I will reward you." The challenge, Ethan realized, was not just physical but mental. Each platform required timing, logic, and adaptability. He had to anticipate movements, predict shifts in the energy, and stay focused despite Lyra's teasing interruptions. She would sometimes create small illusions, a duplicate of him or a false platform, and he had to see through them quickly. Hours passed, though it didn't feel like it. The sun-like glow above shifted in colors, signaling time in a way he couldn't measure. Ethan learned quickly that this planet's challenges were playful, but designed to test his ingenuity. Each success earned him small nods of approval from Lyra, while failures brought laughter, though never cruelly. During one particularly tricky sequence, Ethan nearly fell from a floating platform suspended high above a glowing pond of liquid light. He caught himself at the last second, his hands gripping the platform's edge. Lyra hovered beside him, smiling, her eyes twinkling. "You are faster than I thought," she said softly. "Clever. You adapt." Ethan exhaled, relief washing over him. For the first time, he felt a spark of pride. Though the situation was strange, uncomfortable, and humiliating, he realized he was learning something extraordinary. This was not a planet meant to scare or harm. Lyra's amusement was her way of teaching, of observing human potential. By the end of the day, Ethan had learned to navigate the platforms with skill. Lyra clapped her hands, signaling the end of the challenge. "You may rest," she said. "Tomorrow, more games await." Ethan sat on the soft glowing grass, exhausted but exhilarated. Despite his embarrassment and the strange circumstances, he felt a connection forming. Lyra's playful teasing was strange, yes, but there was intelligence behind it, curiosity, and a desire to understand him as a human. As night fell, the forest shimmered under twin moons. The floating creatures glowed brighter, and the soft hum of the planet filled the air. Ethan watched in awe, realizing he had entered a world unlike any other, full of mystery, challenge, and unexpected friendship. Lyra hovered above him one last time before disappearing into the glowing trees. "Tomorrow," she said, her voice fading like music, "you will learn more about survival and about yourself." Ethan looked at the sky, feeling both nervous and excited. He had come here expecting danger and uncertainty, but he had found something else, an opportunity to prove human adaptability, cleverness, and resilience. The planet was playful, yes, but it was also teaching him a vital lesson. To thrive, a human must think, adapt, and remain curious no matter how strange the circumstances. With that thought, he lay back on the soft, glowing grass, the alien stars reflected in his eyes. Tomorrow, he would continue the challenge. Tomorrow, he would meet Lyra again. And tomorrow, he would learn more about the strange, beautiful world where humans could survive, adapt, and even thrive. Ethan woke to the soft glow of the alien world's morning light. The forest around him shimmered in shades of green and gold, as if greeting him. He stretched and glanced around, noticing the strange plants and floating creatures that seemed to move in rhythm with the wind. Today would be another day of challenges, he knew, and he felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Lyra appeared almost immediately, hovering above the glowing grass. Her eyes sparkled as she looked at him. "Good morning, human," she said, her voice musical. "Are you ready?" Ethan nodded. "I think I am," he said. He had learned a little patience and control yesterday, and he hoped it would help him today. Lyra smiled and gestured to a nearby clearing. The floating platforms were back, but this time they were arranged differently. Some platforms spun slowly in the air. Others moved up and down unpredictably. Ethan realized that the challenges were becoming more complex, testing not only his agility but also his problem-solving skills. "Today," Lyra said, "we will see if you can think while moving. Your mind is as important as your body." Ethan stepped onto the first platform carefully. It wobbled under his weight, but he remembered her lessons. He focused on the balance points, the subtle shifts in energy, and adjusted his stance. The platform steadied. A small sense of triumph filled him. Lyra's laughter rang out, light and playful, as she floated alongside him. The next challenge was more difficult. Ethan had to leap from platform to platform while they rotated and shifted in height. Each jump required careful timing. One mistake could send him tumbling. He focused entirely, timing his jumps with his breath. Slowly, he moved forward, each success giving him more confidence. Midway through, Lyra introduced a new element. She created a soft illusion of another human, identical to Ethan, appearing on the platforms. He paused, confused. The duplicate moved as he did, mimicking every step. Ethan realized that this was a test of observation and discernment. He concentrated, noticing tiny differences in energy patterns between him and the illusion. With careful focus, he avoided following the false path and continued. Lyra clapped her hands. "Clever! You are learning quickly." She gestured to the next section. "Now your challenge will be a race. Against me." Ethan's heart pounded. Racing an alien who could float effortlessly and manipulate energy at will sounded impossible, but he refused to back down. "I'll try my best," he said, determination in his voice. The race began. Lyra moved smoothly, almost like dancing through the air, while Ethan leaped and dodged between platforms, using all the skills he had learned. He felt the wind against his skin and the pulse of the glowing forest beneath him. Despite her obvious advantage, Ethan discovered that his human instincts, adaptability, problem-solving, and persistence allowed him to keep pace in surprising ways. Lyra laughed as she adjusted the platforms, trying to trick him, but Ethan anticipated the changes. He moved faster than he thought possible, jumping, balancing, and dodging with focus and skill. The race ended with both of them landing on the final platform. Lyra's smile widened. "You are clever, human. You have courage and quick thinking. You surprise me." Ethan laughed, relief and joy filling him. "Thank you. You're an incredible teacher." Lyra's expression softened. "I am amused, yes, but also impressed. Humans have potential. I see it in you." After the race, they rested on a large, glowing platform. Ethan finally felt a sense of connection with this alien world and its playful inhabitant. Lyra floated beside him, her curiosity about him evident. "Tell me, human, what do you find most fascinating about this world?" she asked. Ethan looked around, marveling at the glowing plants, floating creatures, and the vibrant colors. "Everything," he said simply. The way life moves here, the energy, the light, it's all alive. It feels different from anything I've ever experienced. But I also find you fascinating. You're so playful and clever. You see things I would never notice. Lyra tilted her head, clearly pleased. You notice more than most. You adapt, learn, and even enjoy the challenge. That is why I have not returned your clothes yet. You must understand and grow here first. Ethan realized that her games were not just for amusement. They were lessons, teaching him to observe, adapt, and understand. The human mind, with its ingenuity and resilience, could navigate challenges no alien might expect. This was the essence of why humans could survive even the most difficult worlds. As the day passed, Lyra introduced more challenges. Ethan had to solve energy-based puzzles that required logic and pattern recognition. He had to maneuver through areas where the platforms moved unpredictably or where floating obstacles blocked his path. Each task tested not only his physical agility, but also his ability to think quickly and adapt. Despite the difficulty, Ethan never gave up. He stumbled sometimes, failed at first, but quickly learned from each mistake. Lyra's laughter accompanied him, playful but never cruel. Her amusement was tempered by admiration. Every time he succeeded, she nodded in approval. By evening, Ethan had not only navigated the platforms, but also understood much about Lyra's world. The glowing creatures, the floating plants, the rhythmic energy. All were part of a living system that responded to thought and motion. Humans, with their ingenuity, could interact with it in ways even the planet's own creatures could not. Lyra finally floated closer, her expression calm and warm. You have done well today, Ethan. You have shown courage, intelligence, and persistence. You are remarkable. Ethan felt a rush of pride. Thank you, Lyra. I couldn't have done it without your guidance and your challenges. She tilted her head, considering him. Then, with a gesture, she returned his clothing. The energy shimmered around him, and he felt the familiar comfort of his suit once more. He was relieved, but also grateful. The human spirit, adaptable and clever, had survived and learned in a place far beyond Earth. Lyra hovered beside him. Your clothes are back, but remember, human, the lessons continue. The world is alive. Challenges will come. You must always be ready. Ethan nodded, feeling a deep connection to the alien girl and her world. He understood that survival here was not just about strength, but about adaptability, cleverness, and courage, the traits that made humans extraordinary. As night fell, the twin moons reflected softly on the glowing forest. Ethan looked at Lyra and smiled. I want to learn more. Tomorrow, I'll be ready for anything. Lyra's laughter echoed in the forest, soft and musical. Good, I will be watching, and playing, and learning with you, human. Ethan realized that this world, once alien and strange, had become a place of discovery and growth. He had faced embarrassment, challenge, and uncertainty. Yet he had adapted. He had learned to think, to observe, to act with skill and intelligence. He had earned Lyra's respect and, in turn, learned to appreciate the beauty, complexity, and playfulness of her world. As he rested beneath the glowing canopy, Ethan knew that the lessons of the planet and of Lyra were far from over. Humans had a gift, the ability to adapt, to survive, and to thrive even in the most unusual, challenging environments. And here, in this world of glowing forests, floating platforms, and playful alien inhabitants, that gift shone brighter than ever. Tomorrow, he would continue his journey. He would face more tests, discover more wonders, and grow stronger. But tonight, he rested, proud to be human, and grateful for the playful alien girl who had taught him that even in the most unexpected circumstances, cleverness, courage, and adaptability could turn any challenge into an opportunity. Ethan closed his eyes, letting the gentle hum of the planet lull him. He felt safe, alive, and ready for the next day. Lyra hovered nearby, a silent guardian and playful companion. Together they had begun a story of discovery, trust, and friendship that would shape both of their lives. In the quiet of the glowing night, the human explorer smiled. He had been challenged, teased, and tested, yet he had thrived. And that, he realized, was the essence of humanity: adaptable, clever, and endlessly curious, ready to face the universe, one challenge at a time.